Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Kitchen talk. Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Kitchen talk. Let's talk. Conversations that cool. Kitchen talk. Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Kitchen talk. Let's talk. Conversations that cool. Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Let's talk. What you wanna talk about?
Hey.
Hello.
How's everybody?
We in the building. How are you, Lisa?
I'm good.
Dr. Henderson,
Welcome.
good to see you again.
Friends.
Yes. Welcome to Kitchen Talk CTC.
Conversations
that cook.
Look at you, Dr. Henderson. Yes. I love it. We are super excited. We've been away for a couple of weeks, friends. You've been okay?
I know okay.
You miss it, don't you? You miss
you know I'm working on greater. Of course I miss it. Of course.
You are always working on greater. So when I don't hear that, I know something going on.
There it is. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So we have with us back in the kitchen Dr. Angela Henderson. She is a clinical psychologist, licensed clinical psychologist. And actually, you know what I was thinking about earlier today? You actually kicked off our virtual platform.
Really? I remember that. That's right.
Yes.
Right during
our
COVID.
First virtual show was with you, and we were in COVID and needing that. What do we need to be doing for our mental?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yep. So we were 3 years in from COVID, almost four actually, because that was 2020. Yeah.
Time goes by so fast.
It does.
And a lot has changed too.
It does.
Yeah.
So, oh my goodness, I'm so happy to have you. So last month was Mental Health Awareness Month, but you know what? We always need to talk about it, I think. So here we are. I do have one first question. What is the difference between psychology and psychiatry?
That's a great question, Lisa, because that's often confused by clients and patients that's called your practice. We'll start with psychology, which is my area of expertise. Psychologists are normally the ones that will do the psychotherapy or the psychological evaluations where they assess and treat mental health disorders. Whereas psychiatry are usually medical physicians that prescribe the medications for mental health disorders. So if you're looking for therapy services, if you're looking to get diagnosed or assessed for different issues, then you would come to a psychologist. But if you're looking for, you may already know what your diagnosis is. You may have a firm grasp on what you're dealing with. So you would just go to a psychiatrist to talk to them about assessing you for a medication.
Oh, okay. So do they do therapy sessions also, or is it just the medicine?
For most psychiatrists, from my experience, they mostly focus on the medication part. But having said that, there are some psychiatrists that have received the training and they can do some therapy as well as prescribe the medications. But if you just think about it in a general way, psychiatry is more geared towards treating mental illness through the use of psychotropic medications. Whereas psychologists are those, we do the assessing, the diagnosis, and the treatment. And both fields, there's a little bit of blurring between the two professions lately because in some states, psychologists can also prescribe. We don't have the ability yet in the state of Florida, but there are several states where we can actually prescribe. And just as I said earlier, there are some psychiatrists are doing therapy as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit of blur.
Wow, 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 wow. I knew a little bit as far as one could prescribe medicine and one couldn't, which
Mm-hmm.
was the only difference I really kind of thought it was. But that makes a lot of sense. And then the two words that you just said that rung out to me just now was mental illness and mental disorder. Are they the same or are they different?
They can be used interchangeably. When talk about mental health disorders, it means that this individual has met a specific criteria for a clinical disorder. So let's say if someone has ADHD, through assessments, through a formal assessment, they have met the established criteria for ADHD, and that is a mental health disorder. And then mental illness is kind of like this general term for an individual that is struggling with these clinical disorders. So there is an illness or a condition that they're struggling with. But they can be used interchangeably.
Okay. That's interesting. All right. So, as we dig in a little bit deeper, are you seeing any progress as far as Black and brown people and the stigma?
Yes. Yes. I think we talked about that 4 years ago.
Yes, we did.
I came back on maybe a year or two later, and we also talked a little bit about that too.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh. When I said things have changed, it's changed a whole lot.
Good.
In fact, it's swinging more to heavy demand. Not enough providers that are available to see and manage the demand.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
And I would say I've been seeing it across gender, ethnicity. So yeah, people are trying to access services. I think COVID kind of kicked down this door and it changed the way that we deliver services, because now I would say I haven't seen any actual numbers on this, so this is just anecdotal.
Sure.
I would say probably 80 to 90% of providers have a telehealth component. So that's made it more accessible. It's helped to destigmatize services because you can call somebody from home on your cell phone, and no one else has to know, and they feel comfortable with that. So I've noticed a huge change.
I agree with that, and we talked about that, and I said, "Yep, that's that." Once you take away the access, now that people have access and they can do it at their own terms, the doors are going to be wide open. COVID just gave people the opportunity to also slow down, right? So one thing to have the access. I know, Lisa, not me. It's one thing to have the access. It's another thing to have the time. Right. Yes. So now I have the access and I have the time. This is a time that I can set aside to kind of deal with some issues. And I also think as people start to dive into one area, they find, oh, I have some other holes that I need to plug too.
Yes. Right? Yes.
So, oh, yeah, I thought it was just this, but no, it's something that happened way when I was a child, and I got to get past that so I can continue to build. But I also think that I don't want to say society, but our media has made it okay, to say, listen, if you need help, you need to go and ask for help. There's ways to do that. Our sports people, our people who have some notoriety, they're sharing that they have gone and they're using the service. So Some of them have even partnered. I think it was Stephen Curry who even partnered with, different providers to say, hey, this is something that you should use. And it's not because you are dealing with X, right? It's not because you're about to do X, but really sometimes you just need somebody who has some type of professional guidance, professional tools.
Yes. Friends, you brought up a really great point, because you don't really have to have a mental health disorder to see someone. You really don't. I would say there's a lot of people that are seeking out services just to get past maybe a situational issue. Some type of stress, maybe they've experienced some type of loss. It could be just something that's minor, but it's a barrier that they just have to step over. And they don't have any mental health disorder at all. But that's what we're there for as well. So I think the last couple of years, it's been the influx of those type of cases more so.
And I think it's really great because, so yes, I could talk to my girlfriends. Yes, I could talk to this person, that person, the other person. But the psychologist seems to be trained in a way to ask those thought-provoking questions that if you're talking to me about what's going on with you, I may not be able to ask those questions. Or I may be too easy to side with you and say, oh, girl, yeah, you're right, whatever. And I say that because I have a friend who her degree is psychology. She's not practicing or anything like that. But I was talking to her one day, and the question she started asking me, I was like, I forgot. I was like, you got a psychology degree and you anointed, you got the Holy Ghost. Oh my God.
Yes.
So
double.
I was like, I never thought about it that way, whatever. So it is interesting that that you all are able to ask us, those questions that help lead to the answer, not necessarily giving the answer, but help lead to unpacking, different things and stuff that we did not, that we may not have thought about as a friend. As a friend, you come and talk to me about your situation. It's Kimberly Black.
Yay, Miss Black.
So I do like the fact that we are seeing more emphasis put on, our mental health, and not just crisis.
Correct.
But there's a piece too, and you both said it, and as Lisa, you was like, I felt like you was like right in my mind. Because it's okay to go talk to mama, brother, sister, friend, but even talking to my therapist, right? Sometimes they don't have the tools. They may have the ears to listen, and they have the ability to kind of discern, and give you some insight. And sometimes they not. Sometimes they just nosy. But having somebody who has the skill set to give you, some tools to help you overcome those challenges. Absolutely. And I think that's what's missing from time to time when you're talking to individuals, and they're giving you advice, but it may not be the tools you need to help you overcome the challenge, right? So I do think that's what a profession gives you. The professional would give you that a layman would not give you.
That is so true. Along with knowing that what you do disclose is confidential. So you have that safe place to kind of just state the truth and what you're going through. But I want to piggyback on what you just said too. That's a really delicate dance when you think about talking with your therapist and whether it's a good fit or not. The person can be brilliant, have a lot of tools, but if the client or patient does not connect with them in a certain way, then it might not work. The rapport might not be where it needs to be. And there are different styles to therapy. So some providers might have the more talking style, some may have more of the listening style, and some may be more active where they're giving you strategies and tools and things. So when you're looking for a provider to work with, I would say it's good to kind of ask questions on what is your techniques, what style do you have, and see if that's a good fit for you.
So how do you
go ahead?
How do you know? Do you go based on your feeling? Do you go based on if this person challenges you? Or are you just supposed to be feel really comfortable? I mean, how do you know? Is it intuitive? How do you know what your therapist should be or who you connect with?
All of the above. All of the above. When you go, you will know how you feel. When you're going in, you're coming in with some issue that you are looking to get some assistance with.
Mm-hmm.
So once your first session is usually an intake where you're doing the interview, where the provider is getting information regarding your needs and the context of what issues you're experiencing. So during that initial first session, you will get a good vibe on, okay, I feel like this person is listening to me. I feel like I'm being heard. I feel like they're talking about how we're going to move forward. There's a plan in place. So everything that you said are valuable. And I think if you go into the process being engaged and active, you will know at least by the end of session 2 whether this is a good fit for you.
Okay. And then it's good to keep trying until you find that person.
Yes. Yes. It doesn't make sense to be in a therapeutic relationship that's not working for you. It's very much a two-way type of situation. That's why they call it the therapeutic relationship or therapeutic rapport. So it takes time to build it up. So I wouldn't say count it out after the first time, because it does take time to build it. But if you know that that effort has been made, but for some reason you're just not clicking with this individual, that's okay. There are many more that you can continue, researching and select from, just like if you had a primary care doctor that you did not have a good fit with.
That makes sense. I have seen that. So I work on FAMU's campus, and in our college, we house the psychology degree department. Oh my God. It's like the biggest, I think it's the third largest on FAMU's campus. And then there are so many students that are coming in psychology. So I always know what's going on in the world by the majors.
Which is crazy that you said that, because I think during the George Floyd situation, right, a lot more people,
a lot of criminal justice.
Hey, you know what? I want to go into this field because I want to make a difference in this area.
Yeah.
Great field. I think what you said earlier, Doc, was so true. Is we need more, because there's so many people that need the service. We got Kimberly Black here, and she could tell you the parent snitch, the community.
I need it. No, I'm just kidding. But I see it, especially here lately. I've always been in tune with needing to speak someone and students needing to speak some more. But the cases that I've been coming through, like lately, as of late, y'all, I was just like, ooh, they need somebody that I can talk to, not just a little app to talk to that we offer at FAMU, but they need able bodies where they can be able to get it out. They're not talking to their parent, and they're going through so much. I'm saying I'm grown, and I'm like, ooh, it is a lot. It is a lot. And I got, if you got a good one in mind, please refer 'em, because I got one of my own that needs to see one.
Well,
I,
we got one right here, Dr. Henderson.
Yes.
So just
Look,
go and give her a call.
what kind of insurance you take?
and which is crazy because that is the deal right now. Even the insurance companies are like, yeah, come on down. We'll take it.
Yeah.
We'll
If I need to take her to Florida Blue so she can come see somebody. I'm just saying.
You know, I was talking about how the pastor, right, the church community used to serve as that as well. And that's still very valid and still very needed, but it's something about having that therapist that even the pastor may not have those tools and those skill sets to say, okay, yes, let's go in a little bit deeper. Yes, let's talk about this. Yes. And as you stated, Dr. Henderson, a safe place.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like knowing that the people who need it the most, they have access to it. And I think going back to that, like, okay, I could just pick up a phone call. I don't have to go to the church. I don't have to go to this place or that place. If I need to talk to Dr. Henderson and there's a specific situation, I can call her and set an appointment, and then we can really kind of dive deeper into fixing self. So access to me is probably the biggest thing that's having this boom in the industry.
Yes.
Is there a difference between the in-person session and the telehealth session? Like, first of all, which do you prefer? And then what are the pros and cons to either one of them?
And that's a complex one too. That's very complex because once again, it's about the receiver. Mm-hmm. Now, as a provider, if I'm doing therapy cases, I like the in-person. But right now, my practice is very heavily just doing psych evals.
Oh, wow.
So the psych evals, they're interchangeable. I find that there's not that much difference between doing them virtually or in person. There are some tests or assessments that you have to do in person. Mm-hmm. So I have to adjust for that. But if I was doing the therapy services that I've done for decades, I would say I probably would have that part mostly be in person, because you're going to be missing some key things for certain disorders. I'll say that caveat. Some issues, you could do it virtually. But there are certain disorders that you're going to want to be in the room with that individual when you're doing certain interventions. As far as the client's perspective, I find that some are more comfortable virtual. They do not feel comfortable doing in person. And there are some that only wants in person. So if they call the practice, mostly now you will have that option, and you can let the person know that I prefer in person or I prefer virtual, and then you'll get scheduled that way. So it's a complex issue with that, but it's definitely taken off. It's, no matter whether you like it or not, this is the future. This is where it's going. Yeah. So I find it being very useful in a lot of cases. I find it.
I also, as you were talking, I said not only access in terms of the feasibility of assessing the therapist. Back in the day, when you're talking about a psychiatrist, you're sitting on a couch. Is this a special session? And you paying some good money for that time, and that has changed. So I do think, for people like, oh, it's going to cost me too much money for me to go and talk to somebody when I could talk to Nene for free. No, Nene, it's gonna cost you, but it's not going to. Oh man, it's not going to Nene is not going to be able to help you or
Mhm.
give you some skills or some tools to help you with this situation
Yeah.
as somebody who has the skill sets to do it.
Sure.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, that's getting back to the accessibility
mhm.
because really insurance companies, when COVID hit, I would say maybe 6 months after the pandemic started, insurance companies made that pivot. So they made it more accessible. So if you
Mhm.
had any type of insurance plan, getting therapy became almost, I mean, they had like zero copays. They made
Yeah.
it very
Oh wow.
accessible as far as
Wow.
the costs.
Yeah.
And now it's still the copays are generally good for therapy.
And I mean, especially then, because everything that you're hearing, you're
Mhm.
seeing is so depressing.
Yes.
It's like it's all we were hearing were death tolls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And whether you knew the people or not, it was just like it was
You
just so
felt it.
much. Was
Hmm.
just so much. And then you had on top of that the anxiety of, what if I get COVID,
Hmm.
and or what if, someone I love and this gonna happen and that gonna happen and they gonna be gone and this gonna kill us and just that whole thing. And then for people who are social to be closed off from other folks, it's like woo. So we survived. We survived, but I think too what I'm learning and what I'm seeing is since then just that big push to say mental health is important. I remember the first time I ever really heard the word mental health was when I was younger, in like middle school, high school. My mom would give us 2 mental health days a year. So we could come to her and say, I don't want to go to school today. We ain't have to make nothing up. We ain't, when you don't want to go to school, you go,
Yep.
I'm sick. But we didn't have it, we could have 2 of those. And she called them mental health days.
I love it. Your mom was very forward
I
thinking.
guess so.
Now
you
we
know.
got to go to school regardless, unless the people on the news say school is canceled.
Right.
Are you next to
Going.
dying? Yes.
Right. And I mean, that's how it was for real,
Mhm.
because you go in there talking about, oh, I'm sick. She'd be like, oh, well, just go and let's see let's see if you can make it, whatever.
That
But she would
100%
give us,
attendance certificate was a real deal.
It was the deal.
Right. Like I did. I came to school every day.
but
Oh,
yeah, so
man.
I just remember that, but I don't remember therapy or psychiatry or psychology or anything like that, or getting people the help they needed. Like you would be like, oh, that's just how they are, or
Yeah.
oh, they crazy, don't worry about it, whatever. And you never, and that was the stigma,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I
I
am.
think
Go ahead, France.
that's the other thing is, do we need to go to a therapist or have therapy sessions, family therapy,
I'm
marital
for all of
therapy,
that.
group
All of that.
therapy? Right. Do we need to have it when there's an issue or there's a breakdown or there's a, pandemic? Can we go to therapy just to go to therapy? I just to again fortify the foundation.
Yes. You go to your primary care doctor for your annual checkup. And if you have specialists, you go to them. You go to the dentist. So we're trying to make transition mental health to
In
be
that
just as
same way.
important. So if you
Wow.
need an annual checkup, just to check in, nothing really major going on in my life, but I just want to make sure that, I'm getting everything out, venting, making sure that I have my balance. So yeah, I totally agree with that, France. And people are doing that. They
I
are
never
doing
really
that.
thought about it like that.
Mhm.
Me
Never
neither.
thought about it like that.
You're going in for the crisis. But if I was going in for the monthly check-ins, like going to the dentist, then you know I'm not gonna have that cavity because I've been taking care of my teeth. Right. So it's harder for me to have those breakdowns because I've been going to somebody on a on a regular basis versus the world just fell apart. Now I got to go see somebody to help me build it back up.
Yeah. But can you have that without the professional?
All right, tell me more. What are you saying?
So like the family dinners, the going out with friends, and just having those days or those moments or those parties or whatever, where you're all just kind of sitting around checking in with each other, how things going, how's it, this sort of thing. So can you have those sessions, so to speak, without the professional psychologist?
Of course. Of course. That's what good friends are for. That's what your peers are for. The therapy usually comes into play when you have something you want to kind of vent through, process through, that you don't want others to kind of be involved with.
Okay.
And you kind of want to keep it under wraps and just work through things. But yeah, I think that's beautiful when you have that support system like that. Yeah.
So that would you say would be one good way to help maintain healthy mental health?
Yes. Yes. Socialization is a huge part of mental health. That's kind of part of your will. Have you all heard of the will and all the aspects of life?
Aspects.
Yeah. That's huge.
Oh, that's good. I love parties. I love gatherings.
7 dimensions of wellness. That's what I was thinking of.
Yes.
7 dimensions of wellness. And I think that's a piece. Sometimes we miss out on those dimensions, spiritual, financial, social, intellectual. We miss out on those dimensions. But I do think a therapist having those sessions, those check-ins, I think they do help with not only keeping it confidential, but again, when you come through that point, like, I'm not sure, what do you think? Somebody that not just say, okay, this is a good step for you to take, but have you considered? Right? And I don't know if I don't want to say all of our friends, but if a good majority of our friends have the skill sets to say, hey, have you considered? Or you should look at it this way, or you know what, here's some tools, or here's some books, or here's some resources that you should use that can help you to make the best decision for yourself. Lisa said it earlier. They're not telling you what to do. They just giving you the tools so that you can do the job.
Yeah, but also people are looking for a no judgment zone.
Yes.
Because sometimes you can talk to people that and they're looking at you side eye. It's the no judgment zone that most people are looking for now, especially with everything, with the ever changing things of the world and in your life. It's to me, it's a lot of people. I've been talking to some friends of mine, and we just, even though we've been talking with each other, it's still things that you hold back because you feel like you're going to be judged. Because we even had somebody say, I hope this is a no judgment zone, and I'm like, that's why everybody holds back, because they feel like they're going to be judged. So having a psychiatrist, somebody that don't know you, that can be as real as possible with you and give you the tools and the resources you need to help process things within your life and not judge you for having the thoughts and emotions that you have. I think that is one of the key important elements and components of having a psychiatrist and wanting to talk to somebody outside of your friend zone.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do wonder, and Kim, I keep, every time you come on, I think of the parent snitch and the community support, and like how big it would be to have that in our communities that need it the most.
Yeah.
You know, where trauma and issues are
Yeah.
so prominent. They're like, okay, how can we get that even to the people who need it the most, who
Yeah.
may not want to use the service, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm already getting welfare, and then I love the process. So it's okay to get welfare. Let's get that out the way. Can I also get some
Yes, I
therapy?
wish I got some.
I said the same thing, Ms. Black. I said I messed up during my college.
Just a few food stamps. Great day.
Yes. And if you're a college student and you're listening to this broadcast, you too can get food stamps.
Yes.
Go and get your food stamps. It's okay.
While you can. Yeah.
While you can. It's the best thing for you at this time and at this age.
Yeah, I was paying my bills and trying to find something to eat at the same. I could have had. That's a whole nother story.
You're taking us into another kitchen talk, Fred.
Oh Lord. But I do wonder, you know, if we're getting these governmental services, how much of a difference it will make for, you know, community members of our community who need that service. And you see how I said it. It's not a Black thing,
Right.
No.
for people to. There's a stigma that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people who use food stamps are not Black.
Mm-mm.
They're not Black.
You'll be amazed.
Yes.
No,
So-
don't be amazed. It's the other brown set of people and the Caucasians. They get them. Yeah.
And they use
More
the
than
service,
Blacks.
and that's what you're supposed to do. It's a service that you need to use. But I do wonder how much of a difference that would make in our communities if more people had access to it. What do you think, Dr. Henderson?
I think that's a wonderful point. And when you think about Medicaid, Medicaid right now, individuals that are receiving it, they have the least access, I would say, to therapy because there's not enough providers that are
That take
able
the
to be
Medicaid.
enrolled on the panels. So they're really, really scarce in terms of providers that actually accepts Medicaid as reimbursement for mental health services. So there's a huge problem with access to that population in particular.
So, in addition to, in your assessment, in your opinion, Dr. Henderson, if I cannot, for whatever reason, access a mental health provider, what might be something else that could help me along the way?
I want to come from a position that if you want mental health services, you can get it.
Okay.
Now, it might be a more challenging route, but you can see someone if you're having a mental health challenge.
Okay.
That could be calling 911, going to the hospital. You know, you would get it no matter what your situation is.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
And there are certain resources in the community that are like grant type organizations that will also provide assistance in those areas.
Okay.
So I want to come from a position that if you want mental health services, that there is likely a way that you can get it.
I also thought about group counseling. You know, sometimes we want to do the one-on-one. But the one-on-one may not be the best or an option for that individual right now. But group counseling, you know, team counseling, I think it's also a very good resource that people can take advantage of, right? Especially because you have now less and less providers. There's more people, less providers. So, you know, we go in as a group and we have these sessions to talk about X, Y, and Z issue, making sure that everybody know this is a safe zone. I think that can also be a very good resource for people.
So is this still the same as or is there something like the addiction counseling where you have like Alcoholics Anonymous, or
Mhm.
is there another one for just I'm not in that category.
Family therapy
I
or
don't know. Well, like what would it be
hot
called? Like
girl
what is
summer.
it?
You meaning a group, like a group intervention?
Yeah.
They have a group.
Friends, what did you say?
Hot girl
Hot
summer
girl
therapy.
summer.
you know, you know.
Yes, you can set up a group for that too.
Yeah, y'all done went on y'all trips. And you got to come back.
And you throwing shade.
Yeah, I
Hey,
think he's throwing shade.
hey,
Yeah.
Hey, the
that was
gentleman
my
got it too.
therapy.
Yeah.
That was my
I think
therapy.
he's been on your
The trip was
he
the
been on your
therapy.
Insta.
Dr.
Kim.
Henderson, I just got back off a cruise. He's throwing shade, but that was my therapy.
And listen, I love the pictures of that. It was beautiful, beautiful. And you said it right. That was the therapy.
Yes, that was her escape. That was her therapy.
Right.
Love
right.
it.
Right.
Yes, thank you.
Oh,
So we can as the community, we can set up those. This is not an addiction session or not but it's just a session where you could just come and sit down and just kind of
Yes.
It's called church too.
set it all out.
Yes. Yes, support groups. They have support groups that cover a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
You usually see a lot of them on college campuses, on universities. They would have support groups that's covering different areas, and they have some in the community too. So yes, group therapy is very powerful.
Yeah. That was one of the things, because a lot of times we just hear about the the addiction ones, right?
Like AA and
AA
yeah.
and the alike, but you never hear about, this is just I don't have like a real problem, but I want to talk to somebody. So what does that look like? Is there a group for that? Or I just need somebody to hear me. Can we just get together so somebody can hear me? But having that professional in the room as well to say, to ask those questions that help get you to where where you need to be.
Yes. That over the years, I've seen creative groups. They've had groups where you're cooking and talking, or women that love to sew. And I've seen some powerful creative groups over the years.
Oh, wow.
So yes, you can create whatever type of how can I say it? Like the context that you want. And if you have a professional there, they can kind of guide the discussion and make sure that the group rules and expectations are in place. But you can create whatever type of group that the individuals would like in order to bond.
And I'm seeing more of that with Black men. And I love
to see. Yes.
Yes, I love it. That not only that they're getting the support one-on-one, but there are a lot of more male, like father support groups, just Black men. Hey, we just need to have that time. I think again, they did. It was something that was done many times in different ways for me in the past, just watching it. Oh yeah, we're just going out, we're going to get our haircuts, we're going to go fishing, we're doing things together. But now you're seeing it in a more therapeutic, where there is a therapist that's guiding the discussion, that's saying, hey, here's some things that you need to think about, here's some things that you need to focus on. I'm loving it. Loving it.
Yeah, I think I seen one of those too, friends, a few years ago, where this barber has a psychologist that comes in like regularly, so that the men in the barbershop are actually, getting like therapy sessions.
Yeah.
In the
Wow.
barbershop, and he was a big advocate for mental health and therapy. And so he would have a licensed person come in and and do that.
Wow.
So
Love that.
here's
I'm
another
seeing that in
question.
the community too, with different groups that's popping up. I know Mr. Carter of Carter's Corner.
Yes.
He has something just geared towards fathers. They do
Mhm.
I think it's every other month. There's a big mental health for men symposium where all the men come together. When I say all the men, I'm talking about from every walk of life.
Yes.
And I wish that um, some Caucasians and other males and other ethnic groups would take a interest in this. But y'all, it is so big to see all of those men, with some of them even bring their children, their sons. So it's like a father-son bonding time, and the men are able to get out what they want for their sons and what they're scared of and what they're going through as Black men. I snuck in, peeking through because I'm nosy to see what was going on one of them.
The snitch on the job.
Because I'm nosy. So, but I was in awe, especially of the participation and the
Yeah.
diversity of the group of men that were there,
That's great. That
right
is
here in
so-
Leon County.
Yeah,
That's
I
great.
love it because again, it's something that men do and women do already, right? We
Mhm.
have our little groups and our circles that we run with. When you were talking, I was thinking of church. Your church auxiliary groups are very similar, but there's a difference again when you have somebody who can, one, guide the conversation, two, provide. Again, it's the tools.
Yeah.
We could have a great conversation in here, but if
Yeah.
I'm not giving you some tools to take with you to kind
Yeah.
of deal with
Yep.
those issues, then it
Yep.
was you just talked.
Mhm.
But
And
I'm
not
don't
to
well,
take
hold
nothing
on,
away
friends.
from the talk, not to take nothing away from the
Okay.
talk.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
The talk is therapeutic too,
Yeah.
but it's knowing that through this talk, I was also given some resources to
Mhm.
say, okay, here's what I need to do, A, B, C. Or you know what? Here's some books or things that I can read to help me deal with the
Sure.
situation.
Sure. But don't discount the talk.
No, that's why we
Yeah.
on Kitchen Talk. This is our therapy every Thursday.
Yeah.
It definitely feeds me. I want to tell you. So, Dr. Henderson, here's another question. So I know that there is psychiatry, psychology, but also social workers that
Mhm.
are trained for counseling. Is that different from therapy, or is that kind of the same thing?
The counseling or doing therapy, if you're trained in a certain intervention, then those disciplines can do the intervention. Let's say if it's cognitive behavioral therapy, a licensed clinical social worker, a licensed mental health counselor, a licensed a therapist at the master's level or even at the PhD level, psychologist and so forth. If you are trained in a certain intervention, then of course you can ethically do that intervention. But the higher up you go with your degree, you'll get other types of specialties. So with my end, we get additional clinical training in doing assessments and doing diagnostics and things like that. Whereas a master's level clinician is not able to do that.
Okay.
So, but if you're looking that you want to get counseling services and that's it, you're not looking to get evaluated, you're not looking to get a firm diagnosis of something, then you could go to a licensed clinical social worker and have counseling and have good counseling.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, at the master's level, and you have a lot of independent practitioners that are practicing at the master's level and have successful practices at that level. And they can do therapy with different age groups and they can treat different disorders. So I guess, did I answer that question?
Yes, you
Okay.
did. Mm-hmm. You did. So that is another avenue for mental health, is
Yes.
a licensed clinical social worker as well.
Yes, absolutely. And some individuals that don't want to remain in school for a long time or get the additional training, they will choose to do that. Or ones that just want to get out and start their career earlier, they'll choose to just practice at the master's level.
Oh, okay.
The other thing, as you were stating that, I said it's important for people to start somewhere. Whether that's with a friend, church member, group member, special groups, auxiliary groups. You need to start somewhere. And I think that's the journey of mental health. Lisa, like, I can see this clinical psychologist, sociologist, my barber, hairstylist. You need to talk to somebody to start that journey, right? So then it will lead you to where you need to be. But I do think having that start is important. Having that, having those different branches will help you get to the source. So I know we talked a lot about the different levels, but I do think there's still a ground level for those who just, I know I could go to, Miss Black and talk to Miss Black, and she's just gonna listen and hear what I have to say, and then hopefully, Miss Black says, yeah, you gave me some great information. I have a resource for you. Dr. Henderson is somebody that can help you deal with some of the deeper stuff that you may be going through. So I think there's a starting point.
It is.
And we can't discount the starting point.
That right there is so important, because when you're thinking about like mental health and mental illness and things like that, a lot of it could have been intervened earlier if the person was comfortable getting it out, talking about it with a friend, a family member, or so forth. So the ground entry level is ideally if you can talk to your loved one, or you talk to a friend, say, hey, I'm struggling here, so that they, you get that listening ear. And like you said earlier, that person can then steer you into the right direction. But a lot of times, because of the stigma, or like you all were saying earlier, the fear of being judged, they hold it in, and they hold it in for years. And this stuff builds up to the point where, they have to come in to see someone like us. Yeah. But I think you hit it on. If we can continue to destigmatize mental health through the efforts that you all spoke of. I love hearing that they're having all these activities in the community where they're encouraging men and their sons and to just get out there and bond and talk about the things that they're struggling with. All of that helps to destigmatize mental health. All of it does. So,
and then, Dr. Henderson, can you speak to the importance of how your mental health ties to your physical health, like when you're holding this stuff in, and what it does to your body?
Yes. Can I put one thing right before that? How your environment affects your mental health, which then affects your physical health. So the things that impacts you around you, your physical environment, things that you're hearing, listening to, all of that affects mental health. And when that begins to suffer, it does affect you physically in a lot of ways. It could cause you to not want to engage. You feel fatigued, tired a lot. Some people, it affects your eating patterns. You may have a lot of somatic complaints like headaches or just feeling sick or ill. So yes, it affects you physically in a big way. Huge way.
So you saying clean your room, organize your area.
Yes. Who you let into your life.
All of that.
You don't got to listen to Little Baby or Beyonce every second of the day. Oh God.
Yes. All of that.
Man.
And we won't even get into the impact of social media the last couple of years and how that
it is ruining our children.
Yep.
Yeah.
and some grown folks, because now
Yeah.
you're looking to see who like you, and you develop an anxiety because you feel like somebody don't like you, and
Yes.
who's following me. I'm so
Yes.
over social media.
I think the other thing is that's all you see, right? And that's all you watching. That's all you seeing. So even though you're looking at somebody else's life, I think people start to then mimic or like you said, have anxiety that this may happen to me. I got the
it is a lot. Like
It's a lot.
just the times that we're living in, it is a lot. And if we don't do this kind of checkup, like check on our mind and our bodies, and like you were saying earlier, Dr. Henderson, about we go to the doctor for our annual checkups, and we go to the dentist for our cleanings, but we don't really do this see
Mental
anybody
health
about our mental. We don't really check on that in that way. So if we're pretty much happy all the time, if we have a sad day, we just be like, oh, okay, that was just a sad day. We're not evaluating why we had a sad day.
Mhm.
But if we have a pain in our knee one day, we're gonna be like, oh, whoa, what's the pain in the knee?
Yep.
But we don't really check on what was the sad day, what made us feel that way, until it just
manifest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking to a coworker today about how we are always going, and we do not realize what that does to our bodies. Like if you don't allow your brain to, shut down other than sleep, right? So even outside of sleep, the brain still need to have a relaxing moment or two or three.
Well, I can be a witness to test that the body will shut down on you if you don't learn how to shut down.
Yes, it will.
I'm
Yes, it
another
will.
witness.
It will. I am a witness that your body will shut down on you if you don't learn how to shut down.
Yeah.
Yes.
It goes back to the 7 dimensions of wellness, right? So all of those dimensions are important, and I think it's understanding the balance of them. So
That's
I
the word I
can't
was
give
going to
work
say too.
all of my time. I can't give relaxation all of my time. But I need to learn how to balance it out, meet with my friends, take care of my assignments or my work obligations, go and exercise or take a walk, talk to my therapist, you know what I mean? Or talk to somebody, because today wasn't a good day.
Yeah.
It's having that balance, I think is so key.
It's all about the balance. It's all about, and everybody have times in their lives where they struggle with it. I even struggle with balance at times. I'm wondering, this is just a question for you guys. How often do you check in on yourself in all different areas? Like you say, how am I doing spiritually? How am I doing emotionally? How am I doing socially, financially? Like all of those wellness areas. Do you ever think about it and do a little check-in to see how you're doing in each of those areas?
Well, the last 2 weeks I've been doing my check-ins because I didn't check in. Because I didn't check in. I just whatever life is throwing it. Let me catch it. Oh, black eye. Oh, busted lip.
Yeah.
And just keep moving. But the last couple of weeks, I have made an adamant, determined decision, and I am dedicated to checking in on Kim in all areas. And if I don't want to do something, I don't want to do it. And I'll tell you, I don't want to do it. My friends, let's go. I don't want to do it. I don't get somebody else to go with y'all. I ain't going. Where you gonna be? I'm gonna be in my bed resting. Because when your body tells you to sit down somewhere, you got to sit down somewhere. When your mind start losing focus and it's all over the place, it's time to get focused. So in the last 2 weeks, I have dedicated every day, a couple of hours a day. it's something I want to do. I don't care if it's going against the group or what everybody else want to do. I don't care if it's going to sit in my car
Good,
and letting the
good.
air conditioner run on me just to detox away from everything.
Yeah.
I've been that way. I might be 3 weeks, last 3 weeks, 3 weeks, because I
That's
didn't check
good,
in.
Tim. That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So I teach it. Go ahead, Lisa.
Oh, I was about to say I am so for the most part I always just kind of been I don't hold too much, right? So if once I write it down, then it's pretty much gone. I'm not holding a grudge. If I can't get over it in the writing it down, then I got to talk to the person that I got the issue with. And then I'm pretty much, done from there. But what I did learn about myself was during COVID and losing my mom. I know, right? It just the things that I used to keep me lifted, they were completely defenseless against grief and COVID.
Yeah.
And I learned that, girl, you might have a couple of problems.
Yeah.
Because the things that I would use to make sure I stay happy, make sure I stay up, that don't bother me or whatever, those defenses were gone. And I actually had to learn that it is, number one, mind over matter, that I had to think myself, talk to myself and say, okay, because I couldn't use the things that I had used before. So now I'm learning two things. One, I'm learning to feel what I'm feeling.
Yeah. In the moment that you're feeling it.
Whatever that is, if it's sadness, if it's disgust, if it's anger, if it's whatever it is, I'm learning to feel what I'm feeling. I'm learning to cry if I need to cry.
That's it.
And then, all right, let me feel that, and then let's push forward. It might be a push forward with a tear, but I'm learning that, okay, I got to feel it. Because before, I wouldn't necessarily feel it. I write it down. Okay, I'm done with that. And go back to, because I have this defiance, I guess, of not letting people know they got to me. And that ain't always good either, is what I learned. That ain't always good. So, and then that came through a couple of things, through spiritual growth, through this, through that, through God stripping me naked, bare, just a whole process. So the other thing that I'm doing now is I'm getting my joy back through that process. But I was fighting to go through that process because I've kind of felt like, well, I don't really, that ain't me. I'm not no wuss. I'm not no wimp. I ain't finna cry. I'm hard. I'm a G.
You're a crybaby.
All right. No, I was the soldier. Now I just a bag of water.
I'm so proud of you.
So I'm learning that. And I'm telling y'all, I ain't never had so many temper tantrums as I had when my lights was off during the hurricane. I don't know, about 10, 15 temper tantrums.
Why are these lights not on? And it's hot in this house. Yeah, I felt that.
So it is a process. It is a process. And yeah.
For me, it's I teach that in my class. So the seven dimensions is one of the things that we talk about. So every semester, so I actually go through that. Like, okay, how am I doing in this area? And I ask my students that as much as I ask them that, I need to challenge myself too. Like, am I balanced right now? How am I doing spiritually? How am I doing financially? How am I doing socially, am I getting out as much? Things have changed in my life, so I have to also make that clear to my students that you have to check in on that, to make sure that you're where you need to be so that you can be the best you can be.
Yes.
So I will share that every semester, if not once or twice. I'm actually doing that check-in with self-evaluation.
Yeah.
Right.
That is excellent. All three of you all are doing superb. Lisa, I'm so proud of you because I remember 4 years ago and what you were saying back then and how you are speaking about it now, like the emotions and everything. So yeah, that's good.
I'm
to see.
growing.
Mhm.
Yeah. One of the other things I wanted to mention too was I know we were talking about balance. But can you help us with not stressing if the balance isn't there right now?
Oh yes.
Good.
That's a great one too. You're going to go through your life and have periods of times where you're going to be off balance. That's life. It ebbs and flows. You'll have a period of time in life where everything's going great. You feel like you're on top of things, but then something always hits and then knock your equilibrium off. So just give yourself grace and realize this is how I'm going to get back on track. So tomorrow or next week or what have you, this is my plan for getting back on track. So if you can remove yourself from the emotion of it, meaning, oh man, I'm anxious because I didn't get this done, or I'm feeling kind of off, remove yourself, separate yourself from the emotion part of it and go more toward the rational or cognitive part. And then just develop a plan for getting back on track or recalibrating. So if you just keep it like that, keep that focus, you won't let stuff veer you too far off. And just understand it's going to happen. No matter you have the best plans in place, it's going to happen.
I have one more thing. I know Lisa said that was
Of course you do. France is gonna keep us over time, no matter
We're
what.
over.
No, you see, you the one who, but I'm not gonna do that.
This is therapy
transfer
session.
that.
This is therapy session.
I thought this was a safe zone, Lisa.
Yes, this is therapy session.
No judgment over here. What are your thoughts about the social media therapy? Because you have everybody on social media. Well, you have a large amount of people on social media who are giving advice on marriage, on finance, on mental health, on a number of things. So there's always somebody who has a platform. What are your thoughts about that?
Drive me bonkers.
But some of it be good though.
Some of it be good. They be just I'm like, okay,
Some of it be good though. You be like, yeah.
you said some good stuff, right?
You're right. Some of them are good and some of them are doing good work.
Yeah.
And they're helping people. But as a profession, you worry about them maybe doing too much because you can only treat clinical disorders if you are licensed. So you can't be on a platform doing license type work. And you've never gotten training, you've never taken your exams, you know what I mean, or gotten your residencies done. So and some of them I've seen, they kind of dabble a little bit over there. So that's what drives me bonkers. But some of them, there are a few on there, influencers, that I would say are doing a pretty good job.
Okay.
Listen, this has been Kitchen Talk CTC.
Conversations that
cook. Conversations that cook. I know she had another question, but I'm gonna stay out.
I don't have another question. But Dr. Henderson, you are definitely gonna have to come back.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But this has been wonderful. It's a wonderful conversation. I appreciate you so much for joining us in the kitchen. Thank you so much. Thank you, Fransley Moyce and Kim Black, the parent snitch. I appreciate you guys so much for being in the kitchen. Listen, if you are watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Turn on your notifications so you won't miss another show. If you are watching us on Facebook, hit the like button. Also, turn on your notifications so you won't miss another show. Next week, we will be right here, same time, and we're going to be talking to some fathers about fatherhood.
Mhm.
So, happy Father's Day coming up this Sunday.
Happy Father's
Happy
Day.
Father's
Father's
Day.
Day.
Oh, sure is, isn't it?
It is.
It is.
Okay.
Real fathers, real men. Happy
Well, look,
Father's
okay.
Yes,
I'm a little late, eh?
Yeah, well, I mean, you still got 2-3 days to get a gift if you need to.
No, I'm gonna go see him. I'm gonna go see my dad. I'll
Oh.
surprise him.
Okay.
Quick question.
See,
Do you give your husbands or significant others a Father's Day gift?
if they're a father?
Yes.
Yeah, if they're a father. I hate people that say it ain't my daddy or it ain't my mother when it's Mother's Day.
That's not
Duh.
my mama. You know my mama. I'm not giving you a Mama's Day.
See, friend, you need to see Dr. Henderson on the couch. You need to go lay on the couch and you have one-on-one with
Friends,
Dr.
I will
Henderson.
give some strategies.
That's what I'm talking about. I can't
Yes.
Please. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Too much. Thank you all for joining us. We are so appreciative that you came by. We will see you all next week. Same time next Thursday, 9 o'clock. Thank you, Dr. Henderson, again.
Thank you. Bye-bye, all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? You can talk.